So I just picked up a Recordia coral from a fellow reefer. You can see it in the bag there, just from a local Facebook group. If you guys have watched my previous videos, I used to collect a whole bunch of Recordia, but I sort of messed it up in my last run where I just had too much flow, and a lot of the new ones that I picked up literally just floated away into the weir. But we're starting again, so hopefully it turns out all right. All right, so I've got a couple of new corals here from a tank shutdown. I'm in about 10 Facebook reefing groups, so whenever someone's shutting a tank down, I'm all over it generally, because I'm always trying to get a deal, always trying to get secondhand corals. But having said that, I'll show you what I picked up. I've got a Recordia in here. It's flipped over. It's just a green rig, and then we've got a more colourful one. Colour won't come through on camera yet, but it had gold streaks through it, so sort of a familiar one that I've had in the past. And then I also picked up a red Gonny. That's sucked in. But yeah, I'll get them in the tank and then we'll show you how it looks.
I picked up this really nice captive spawned yellow torch coral from Deer Park Aquarium as well. But guys, onto some more sad news. I unfortunately have lost my peculiar clownfish, the female. It was really sudden and out of nowhere. She had a small bruise on her head, and over the course of a week she just seemed to get worse and worse each day. I tried all I could, but unfortunately she did perish and it's left the male solo. And I did a bit of testing after that to see what the levels are at, and you can see the nitrate sort of bottoming out at 0, which led me into my decision to purchase a small blue eye bristle-tooth tang. If you saw my last video, it is one of my favorite tangs, and hopefully it can increase the nitrates. And I do have plans to get a large tank in the future, so I'm not too fussed or too worried about keeping it in this size aquarium. So as you can see, the tank is ticking along. The first thing that you guys will notice that is a big change is the sand bed has basically been removed. I would say at least 90% of it. I did decide to do it after battling algae that was constantly growing at the bottom of the aquarium, which was potentially diatoms or algae. And I did sort of come to the conclusion that it was potentially from using really old sand from an old reef tank that I had a couple of years back that, potentially had a couple of nasty things still inside of it. So I decided to remove most of the sand bed, which has obviously given the tank a different sort of look, but I think it is for the better, and it's just going to be a little bit more easier to maintain the bottom of the tank. So here's how the tank is looking. You might also be able to see that one of the hammer corals has completely receded, and that is the yellow hammer that I got discounted. Unfortunately, it did die and I couldn't save it. Yeah, it's a bit of death in this video, unfortunately. And I believe it was sort of already on its way out, but I did have a coral that fell into it. It was one of my candy canes, and I just feel that sort of sent it on its way. So one of the right head died, followed shortly by the left head. So I just sort of left it to perish, really. I didn't do too much. Yeah, that's probably the only sort of coral loss. And here are some of the new additions that have finally settled into the tank. We've got the I guess the purple rim orange Recordia, quite a large one. It's not fully expanded in this particular shot as it's sort of sitting under the scully, but a nice addition to the tank. And next up we have the pink Gonny. Gonnies are a pretty tricky one. They are sort of hit or miss in particular tanks. I am dosing manganese now. I'm not testing for it, but I am dosing a drop per day, which is the recommended dosage. So hopefully it does well. And here's the yellow tip torch that you saw I picked up earlier from Deer Park Aquarium, apparently captive spawned, which is what the owner of the aquarium told me. So it is a really, really nice torch, and I feel like I see some green gold coming through on it at certain times, or when the flow is off. So a really, really nice specimen. And I know torches can be particularly tricky in tanks, but I am keeping my mag levels quite elevated. And here are some shots of the SPS or one particular shot, I am seeing a great polyp extension and a lot of growth, and you can see one of the digis in the background has some bleaching on the top, and that's because it did fall into another SPS that was behind it, unfortunately. So it's sort of working its way back to full health. I haven't fragged the top of it off yet. I'm just going to leave it, and hopefully the new growth just grows back over. Here we have a mangrove, which was in an outside tank when I first got back into reef keeping late last year. I decided to bring it inside, and you can see that light I got in a couple of other videos is attached to my AI Prime mount, and yeah, look, it's growing, guys, so I'm very happy with that. It's not the most powerful light. I think it's just a 5 or 6 watt Cree light with a grow setting on it, so it's doing its thing. I'm watering the plant every couple of days, just the leaves obviously with RO water, but it is ticking along. And here's just a front shot of the tank. You can see that I did get a little mat of green star polyps, which I did originally have on the back of the tank, but it did fall down. So I've super glued it to the front of the tank right at the bottom in the hopes that it will encrust basically on the bottom. And instead of having a sand bed, it'll be a GSP garden, which I think looks pretty nice in a smaller tank. But just some couple of other things to go over in the tank. I am sort of running out of space in regards to coral, so I'm really just sort of chilling out at the moment. I haven't made a new addition for a couple of weeks. There is basically, I think, one spot for one more coral, which is where the dead hammer is, so I probably will find a nice one to go there in time and fill out the rest of the tank. That's going to wrap up today's video, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. If you did, please remember to subscribe and leave a like. And as always, happy reefing.